All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are nominations to appoint a temporary chair.
I nominate Dave Piper as temporary chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thanks. Nominate and elect the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors.
I nominate Dave Piper as chair of the Board of Supervisors for 2023.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nomination for the vice chair of the Board of Supervisors. Nominate Ron Cervello. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Hearing none, call for the question. Signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Opening announcements. Being recorded live on CNET's YouTube channel. The Board of Supervisors are going to go into an executive session to discuss personnel, and then we shall return, and we'll take citizens' comments after that. That under the, if not. Let's move on to citizens' comments. Do we have any citizen comments here tonight?
Is this just for the organizational meeting or for the regular meeting?
This is the organizational meeting. No citizens' comments, okay. Looking for approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Do I hear, well, on the consent agenda, we got full-time Public Works Department laborer, Chuck L. Beck.
Okay.
And we're gonna, if we change that to lead, then if,
We'll amend it.
yep. We're just gonna put an ad in there, between full-time Public Works Department labor with Chuck L. Beck and Derek Reese, is to define who gets the lead position. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as written with the change?
I'll move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Any other discussion by the board? All right, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. All right. On the consent agenda, motion to approve or to appoint or reappoint / approve. This would be Township Secretary Amy Smith, Township Treasurer Brett Laird, Deputy Tax Collector Amy Smith, full-time Public Works Laborer Chuck L. Beck. This would be, the next line would be, the one we added would be to appoint Chuck L. Beck as lead for the road crew. Full-time Public Works Department Laborer Derek Reese. Seasonal road crew members James Smith, Daniel Truax. Open Records Officer Amy Smith. Code Enforcement Officer is currently vacant. Open Space Preservation Administrator Amy Smith. Sewage Enforcement Officer Primary Walt Schneider III. And alternate would be Corey Warner, James Royer, Robert E. Royer Jr., Brian K. Roan, and Jonathan T. Long. Zoning Officer would be Patton Township Zoning Officer Nicole Harder. Township Solicitor and Compensation Zachary Rice Esquire of Saltzman Hughes. Zoning Hearing Board Solicitor and Compensation Elizabeth Betsy Dupuy of Babs Callan. Special Counsel and Compensation Attorney Thomas S. Schrack of McQuaid Blasco. Township Engineering Services and Compensation Don Franson, PE PLS, Franson Engineering. Alternate Engineering Services Compensation McCormick Taylor. Local Emergency Management Coordinator Sean Kaufman. Delegate and alternate members of the Tax Collection Committee Amy Smith, delegate, and Brett Laird is alternate. Bank Depositories, First National Bank. Accounting firm for fiscal year 2022, Professional Audit, BBD LLP. Mileage reimbursement rate for use of a personal vehicle in 2023 as determined by the IRS. Bond limits, Township Treasurer, $1.5 million provided by Doty and Hench. Township Clerk, $50,000 provided by Doty and Hench. And Safety Director will be Derek Reese. And that's what we got. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I have a question, or a clarification. The positions, the Public Works positions, we still maintain two positions.
That's correct.
One Public Works laborer and one Public Works
Lead.
Okay,
But he's still a laborer also.
okay.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Mr. Beck, you'll probably have to abstain from this one.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No? Abstain. Chuck?
Aye.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Wasn't paying attention.
Board appointments. This is for PSATS State Convention Voting Delegate in Hershey, April 23rd to 26th. Does anybody want to go? Anybody interested?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Here are none. We'll move on. For Bald Eagle Half Moon Council of Governments Representative.
I'd like to continue in that role if I can.
All right.
Board's approval.
Somebody make a motion to appoint Ron in that position. I move to appoint Ron in that position. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Open Space Preservation Board Representative. Ms. Hartle, you've been in that job. Do you want to continue in that job?
I have been, yes.
Okay. I hear a motion to approve Ms. Hartle in that job as Open Space Board Representative.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations or discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Spring Creek Watershed Commission. Anybody itching to do that?
Who did it last year?
Probably me.
Are you interested in it this
I'll
year?
continue. Although some of my favorite people aren't there anymore.
I'll move to appoint you as Spring Creek Watershed Commission representative.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Center Region Council of Governments. You have Executive Committee, Finance, Human Resources, Public Safety, Facilities Committee, Climate Action, Sustainability. And so it goes.
I would like to be on the executive committee this year.
Ron would like to be on the Executive Committee. Do I hear a motion to appoint Ron?
Make a motion, we appoint Roland to the executive committee.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any other nominations? There are none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you're it. Finance Committee. Anybody want to
I'd
do
like
that?
to be on the finance committee.
Ron would like to be on the Finance Committee. All right, I'll nominate Ron to be on the Finance Committee. For a second.
Second.
Any other nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Human Resources Committee. Anybody want to be on Human Resources?
I had it last year and I will continue.
Okay. All right, I move to appoint Roseanne to the Human Resources Committee.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations or discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Public Safety Committee. Who wants to be on that?
Who did it last year?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Not interested in it this year. But, you know, we'll see if anybody else is interested in it.
When does Public Safety meet? Do you have that?
I don't know, I think, is it 12:30?
Yeah, I
Of
think
course,
it
the middle
is,
of-
and it's,
Middle of the
But I don't
day.
know what day, I don't know what day.
I think I'll wait and see how the other ones play out and then.
I can take public safety. It's midday, just a different day of the week as HR.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'm, nominate Roseanne to be our representative to Public Safety Committee.
Okay, move. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving second. Any other nominations, discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Facilities Committee. Anybody like to pick that one up?
I'll continue.
Okay. I nominate Patty Hartle for Facilities Committee. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving seconded. Anybody else nominating?
Do we have, point of order?
Sure.
Do we have alternates to these committees? We did last year. Because I would think I was Patty's alternate last year
Yeah.
on facilities. I mean, like, we
I don't know.
need
We
to,
need an official
but-
alternate, do we? We
No,
send
I don't
somebody
think
in?
so, but
Or-
You can always tap somebody, I think, if depending on how critical, depending on what's happening at the meeting.
okay.
Sometimes it doesn't even involve us, but. All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor of Patty Hartle for Facilities Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Climate Action and Sustainability. I'll do that.
Nominate Dave to be on Climate Action Committee.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Land Use and Infrastructure Committee, this is Lucy. Ron,
I
you
was
were
on
that
it,
last
I was on it last year, I can do it this year, I guess.
All right, I move to appoint Ron to the Lucy Committee.
A lot of committees.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Chuck seconded. Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Park and Recreation Governance Special Committee.
Do we need somebody on that one?
I think we appointed,
Hyacinth Kim,
Oh, that was yeah, because we're a
Citizen
non-voting member
appointment.
on
Yeah,
that, was
the
a citizen
citizen.
appointment.
So that was Hyacinth last year.
wonder if she still wants to do it, or have you heard anything?
She probably does, but
to be quite honest, I don't know. I didn't honestly look to see how long this term was, so this is maybe something you could table to the next meeting.
Okay, let's do that. Solar Power Purchase Agreement Working Group expires 12/31/2022.
is that an annual appointment?
Patty, is this something that's not, this was like a committee that was tasked to do something for so long, I know they're
Yeah.
still working on
They're still
it.
working, but they're just about done. They're ready to present
Okay, so,
bids, so I'm not sure what
and
will
Bob
happen
was on
this
this
year.
committee, so I'm not sure.
Why don't we table it?
Yeah,
Find
if,
out.
if anything is needed, if they're gonna continue with the committee until it's final, I'd be willing to take that.
Okay. We'll table that
Well,
and then we'll
Bob's no
figure
longer a
out.
resident of the township, I take it.
Nope.
Correct.
He did move out. Well, I mean, we can appoint Patty to that if she wants to.
If you wanna do that, that's
Yep.
fine.
I move to appoint Patty Hartle to the Solar Power Purchase Agreement Working Group if it continues. Do I hear a second?
Second. Okay. Chuck seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other motions? People, nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
As far as.
County MPO Coordinating Committee, Barbara Spencer's term expires on 12/31/2023.
Yeah, that's just,
CCMPO Technical. Anybody want to do that? I know I was on there last. I'll take it again.
I nominate Dave to be the representative to CCMPO Technical.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. State College Borough Water Authority.
I'm
Did
not
we have
sure.
some- Did we have somebody? on that?
Me.
Oh,
I picked it up, I think, from, did I pick it up from someone else or? How'd I end up?
Corey Rolk was.
Yeah,
attending
Corey
that
was
on
doing
my
it.
behalf.
So I can do it again. They don't meet very often and it's usually by Zoom
Do I
anyhow.
hear a motion to appoint Ron to the Borough Water Authority?
so moved.
Okay. Move. How about a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion on the matter? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, citizen appointments. Open Space Preservation Board is a 4-year term. And we have James Smith. I'm just gonna run down through his term expires at the end, or expired at the end of last year. And Ronald Hoover's term expired at the end of last year. Reed Moyer's term expires in 2025. Joanne Fisher's expires at the end of 2023. Christine Brackenpiper's expires at the end of 2024. Board of Supervisors member term expires in 2022. So we need to appoint a supervisor,
I think
Patty.
we did.
which Patty's been doing that. Yeah. And annual PC member,
That, they have not determined that?
they haven't determined who they want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do we do with it?
Well, we'll just put it on hold,
You just-
Table?
Yeah, you just table it till
table it.
next meeting.
All right, do I hear a motion to reappoint James Smith and Ronald Hoover the positions of Open Space Preservation members, 4-year term to expire on 12/31/2026?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Planning Commission, 4-year term.
Do we need to appoint to the annual Board of Supervisors member to?
Well, we
Open
probably
space.
should. Oh, Patty, you did that last year. Do you want to continue on the open space?
Yeah, I thought that's what
You
it was
already
up
did that.
above.
Okay,
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay, Ron.
all right. So many numbers here. Planning Commission, 4-year appointment. Mark Hartles expended 2023, George Stein 24, Ricky Bates 24, Andrew Meehan 23, and David Pick 25. We have 1, 2, 3 alternate positions that are vacant. We're to talk to our council about getting the number of members fixed on the Planning Commission, which is currently not done.
Yeah, we can't have 5 or 7. have
Yeah,
to
we
have
need to
5.
establish a 5 or
It's either
7
gotta be
member
5 or
board.
it's gotta be 7. And I think 5, in my opinion, 5 would be sufficient.
Well, we can hash that out on a regular meeting on another day. Do we have anybody looking for the alternate position right now? Amy?
Well, we had 2 candidates, I don't know if they're interested in alternate positions.
Okay, well, let's table that till we talk to our solicitor about Planning Commission layout membership, and then we can ask and appoint. Okay, Zoning Hearing Board.
I nominate Stephen Shelberg to be the representative on the zoning hearing board.
I'll second it.
Okay. The 3-year term.
3-year term.
Barbara Spencer's term expired on 12/31/2022. This would be for 12/31/2025. Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Ed Miranda's term expires at the end of 2023. James Andrews' term expires at the end of 2023. And then Mark Stevenson's term had expired at the end of last year, and this new term would be 12/31/2025.
I nominate Thomas Majeski to be the alternate on the zoning hearing board. 3-year term.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board?
So do they not want to do it again, or did they say they would, or we didn't check?
I had asked,
Since you have the, out there in parentheses beside their name, does that mean?
no, I had asked, and they both expressed interest in continuing to serve, but we had also other candidates that expressed interest.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, Stephen Schelberg and Tom Majeski are the new zoning hearing board members. Okay, next up, auditor. It's an elected position, but we don't have anybody elected. So we have a vacant person placed for an auditor. Do I hear a nomination for somebody to fill in for auditor?
I nominate Michelle Schelberg to be an auditor on the board.
And I take it you're willing to do that?
I am.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you're in. Let's see here. Vacancy Board Chairman is Barry Hamilton. I take it that he is interested in continuing?
I'll nominate Barry Hamilton to be vacancy board chairman.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Hamilton is in.
Before we continue, we miss Charles on the auditors.
Oh, yeah.
We missed who?
Charles Simmons.
He's appointed, not elected, so. And he did say that he would be willing to serve.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I hear a motion to reinstall Charles Simmons to the Board of Auditors.
Is it Simmons or Simons?
Simmons.
Simmons.
Simons?
It is Simon? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I nominate Charles Simons to be on the board of auditors.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next up, township fee schedules and resolutions. Okay, first resolution is 2020-301, township schedule of fees. Anything dramatic in there? Mr. Finance? Brett?
I
was gonna say
Yeah,
tax
I can
lien.
tell you, the only change in the fee schedule is the Center Region Code has increased their fees to $100 for inspections,
Okay,
from 75
per inspection.
for inspection, yes.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2023-01?
So moved.
Patty moved, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
On second, any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor of approving the resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Next one up, township solicitor fee schedule. How much did that go up? See, poor Zach's on tonight, I'll torture him.
He's not, actually, none of them really went up a lot, a couple dollars here or there, and
Okay.
I'm really talking like $5, like per fee schedule.
Insignificant.
Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution for the township solicitor fee schedule?
So moved.
Got a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Township engineer fee schedule. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution 2023-3?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Zoning hearing board solicitor fee schedule. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2023-04?
So moved.
Got a motion. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appoint the CPA firm for the fiscal year 2022 audit. That's that LL, whatever it is,
BBD LLP.
you know, kind of an odd name.
Well, that's a mouthful. I move that we approve that resolution.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor,
I-
yeah.
I'd like to say I appreciate the work that Brett did on it to get a CPA firm to do the audits. And he got a good price and got what appears to be a good firm too.
Thanks to Brett. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Township alternate engineer fee schedule. This is if our primary engineer is not used or we need another engineering firm to evaluate something.
I move that we approve the resolution.
All right, here a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. In discussion by the board. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. And finally, Township Special Counsel Fee, Resolution 2023-07. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve that resolution, 2023-07.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approve employee wages for 2023 as set in the 2023 budget approval effective January 1st, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve the list?
So moved.
A motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, anything for the good and welfare regarding the organization meeting? Hearing none. Going to go to adjourn at, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Dave, just 1 minute.
Sure.
On the, Amy, down there, it looks like, is it January 11th or January 12th for the open space? They should be the same night, right? The organizational and the,
Oh, yeah.
Ah, good eye.
Yes, thank you.
and that's the 11th, is the
Thank you.
correct one?
Yes.
So we have to amend that.
All right. We're talking about his upcoming meetings. The Board of Supervisors meets January 3rd following this organizational meeting. The elected auditors organizational meeting is January 4th at 6 p.m. The Open Space Preservation organizational meeting is January 11th at 7 p.m. The Open Space Preservation Board's actual meeting on January 11th is following the organizational meeting. Planning Commission organization starts January 17th at 6 p.m. Planning Commission regular meeting is on the 17th of January following the organizational meeting. And the next Board of Supervisors meeting after this meeting will be January 26th at 7 p.m. here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Organizational meeting done at 7:34. We will immediately go into a regular meeting. All right. We'll call this meeting to order at 7:34 p.m. I think we'll dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening announcements. This is recorded live on YouTube channel. And go to citizen comments. So, do we have any citizen comments?
Is there discussion tonight about the EMS or the fire department?
Yeah, that's gonna come up.
Okay, so I should wait for comments then.
Yep.
It's number 5,
Okay.
line item A, EMS funding discussion and possible action.
Ms. Hughes, please.
Yes, I'm Donna Hughes, and I live on Marengo Road in Halfmoon Township. And I just have some brief things to say about the funding of the Port Matilda Emergency Medical Service. I understand that there's going to be a discussion later, but I wanted to make sure I made some preliminary comments. I'm speaking as a representative of the Citizens for Future Halfmoon Township. And we're a group of dedicated and concerned citizens who want to ensure that we have ambulance service to Halfmoon Township. We know that at the last November, the Port Matilda Ambulance Service announced that it was closing because of lack of financial support. At the December 8th meeting, Halfmoon Township meeting, Lieutenant Bonsall made a compelling presentation about the needs of the service. Thank you to the supervisors for the one-time payment of $8,300 to keep the EMS open until January in order to find a funding solution. Now, time is critical. We're aware that the Halfmoon Township is only one of 5 municipalities that support the Port Matilda EMS. We know that Halfmoon Township is a wealthy municipality with median income and property values far exceeding those of the other municipalities. Yet we pay second to the lowest amount per person, $4.43, for the EMS service. The EMTs earn the lowest amount of all EMTs in the region, and they get no benefits. All other EMTs in the region get benefits. People want a local ambulance service. No other service can get to destinations in Halfmoon Township as fast as the Port Matilda EMS. I know, I took Google Maps and calculated out a number of points. Everyone I've talked to has said that they're willing to pay more per person to make sure that they have a local ambulance service. And I would give them the number of the average of $4.43, and they say it would be no problem with them to pay double, even triple that. Okay, now is the time to demonstrate your commitment to the Port Matilda Emergency Medical Service and take a leadership role among the other municipalities in the Upper Bald Eagle Half-Moon region. We urge you to fund the Port Matilda EMS at an equivalent of two mills, so they can increase the hourly wage, pay benefits, have funds for equipment and supplies, have funds to pay EMT training courses, basic and advanced, and grow a capital fund to replace expensive medical equipment and maintain or buy an ambulance. We also would like to give them enough money so that they can support, or we think you should support requests for scholarships so that people can get training to become EMTs. We're aware that the municipalities have the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, and we suggest that use part of those funds to assist the Port Matilda EMS to get back on their feet and operate until a more permanent, stable funding can be implemented. If you call 911, they'll be here. Now they're calling 911. We need to respond.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else under citizens' comments they would like to relay? Seeing none, I'm going to go on to approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. Okay, we're down to approval of the minutes for December the 22nd and December the 26th, regular meeting and special meeting. Do I hear a motion? We could probably get both those in the same shot. Do I hear a
Mr.
motion to
Chair,
approve?
I move that we approve the minutes for both the December 22nd and 26th meetings.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we hear a second to that?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Subdivision land development plans or conditional uses in public hearings, none. We haven't heard anything back from our solicitor regarding the other property. Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. This is to approve the bills list from 12/17/2022 to 12/30/2022 from the following funds: $41,631.25 in the general fund and $976.91 in the state highway fund. Let's do that. And also to approve the bills list for the period of 1/1/2023 to 1/3/2023 from the following funds: the general fund, the amount of $280,605.95. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Discussion items. Next up, EMS funding discussion and possible action. We have Mr. Jack Bonsall here tonight. I'm very glad he was able to make it. And hopefully we don't hold him too long so he can't go do his regular job, which is EMS.
Actually, I would just, what I'm prepared to have tonight is kind of answer questions from anybody else. I don't have a presentation to present. I think between what I spoke about last month and what we've talked about at different times with members of the board and some of the members of the Concerned Citizens Group, everybody's well aware of where we are. But if there's some clarification, that's what I really am here tonight for.
Can you take the hot seat for a few minutes?
Oh, I'd be glad to. That's fine.
It's not hot.
That's okay.
The microphone's hot, but the rest of it,
I can handle it. So,
I figured that. A couple questions came up. I guess one big one is, in my question is, have any flyers gone out for membership yet?
no, they have not. The reason that the flyers have not gone out, and I've had discussions with several people on this, it's going to cost the individuals that it goes out to $75 for a family membership. We did not feel that right now, the way we stand at Port Matot EMS, being on the doorstep of closing at the end of January, potentially, to send and bill people $78 or $75, excuse me, for memberships. Because what ends up happening is, and I realize that Halfmoon has done a tremendous job, at least at this point, of trying to get us some emergency funds, but any money we earn is then divided among the 5 municipalities. So our discussion among our officers was that if we can get some kind of commitment, and I'm not even looking, or excuse me, we are not even looking for written commitments. We want some kind of commitment that we're going to be open beyond January the 31st. And if that's the case, the memberships are ready to go at a moment's notice. We've already paid for the memberships. The only thing we have not paid for yet is the mailer, or excuse me, the postage. That's about $500, and it's still for the 5,000 residents in the 5 municipalities that we cover. The reason that we've kind of stayed with that, obviously, since we paid for it, is we paid at the time for a follow-up mailer we only have to pay for new postage on those that did not respond from the original mailer. So we may pay postage at $250 versus $500 on a second mailer, and we can mail that at any time. That's already been paid for. So that's why we kept the mailer that we had. And again, I'd like to thank Roseanne for what she had done. The only reason that we had not gone that route was just because we had paid for the mailer, as I'd mentioned. But no, the answer to your question is they're not going out yet. I don't know what to tell you. I will say that Halfmoon has, the citizens of Halfmoon, the board members of Halfmoon, have been the largest and most vocal support that we have gotten since we gave our announcement. And it just, unfortunately, isn't enough for us to commit to that at this moment in time.
What kind of money are we talking for the next 30 days or 60 days? What will it keep you guys in operation? What will it take?
I apologize for not having the numbers this evening. Let me just add that I was not under the impression we would have this meeting tonight, that I would be here tonight. I'm not trying to put you on the hot spot. No, I understand that. And I'm just saying that I was preparing for the big meeting, which all of you are welcome to attend on the 24th of January in Halfmoon Township. I will tell you that at this point right now, with your emergency funds that you have given us, the funds that we've already have in our account, I can comfortably say that we could be open to the end of January, possibly to the middle of February, without new hires, meaning with the staff that we have, the calls that we can cover, we can comfortably say we can do that. Beyond that, I can't commit to anything until I really run some numbers, hard numbers, and I don't have those.
Jack, we do have a meeting next week as well with the Upper Bald Eagle Halfmoon COG.
Right.
That's Tuesday, the 10th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So I think this issue's got to be a focus of that discussion. The representatives of all the municipalities are there, and I think they ought to hear what is coming down the pipe.
Absolutely.
For the 24th. I mean, it'd be good for us to prime the municipalities on what is to be expected.
I will be able to attend next Tuesday to the meeting. I would ask that you, as a representative to the COG, I would like you to promote and prod the questions, because in the past when I've gone to COG, And not to belittle anybody that has sat on that board. I'm sure it's a very difficult task to do. We spoke briefly about politics tonight, how it's a hard job over and over again. But I feel there's a great disconnect between the messages that I was giving to COG and then the township, how it got back to the township. Again, not belittling anybody, but if you bring the questions up and prompt the questions, I think that may spur discussion that we can talk about. In the past, that's never really happened. So
Okay.
I'm all for going there next
I'm
Tuesday.
fully prepared to do that.
Absolutely, then I'll be there.
Okay. I believe we have a full attendance, or at least we have a majority attendance at the 24th meeting with all the municipalities. I think most of us are going to attend that, so.
I would like to add for that meeting, since this has come out, the open discussion that has been brought forth to me by a multitude of citizens has been overwhelming, and I've enjoyed speaking to people about how we work, because a lot of people don't understand how we get paid, what we pay, the number of calls that we do, and so forth. And I'm hoping that the outcome on the 24th, as far as public awareness, is going to be as great as be great. That there's going to be a great attendance there, because I think a lot of people need to really understand what goes on behind the scenes. And it's not a secret. It's just for years we've just really never had to come out and say, here's the nuts and bolts of EMS, because we've made it work the best we could over those years. I do want to add, though, I think this is an interesting statistic that I ran today. So we were dispatched for 484 calls last year, of which we were directly responsible for 419. And the reason there's a disconnect there is sometimes we do an overlap. If we get called into Patton Township because Center Lifelink's busy, we would be listed as one of the calls, or Union Township, and so forth. So we actually did, in the 5 municipalities, 419 calls in the municipalities were dispatched for. We unfortunately did not make all of those. That percentage, just as an FYI, is Halfmoon was 98 calls at 23%. Ironically enough, the next highest was Houston at 85 calls, and that was 20%. Taylor and Worth were real close, 80 and 81 calls at 19%, and Port Matilda Borough at 18% with 75 calls. So the discussion is, Halfmoon's larger, Port Matilda's smaller, but there's an example that the number of calls were really close, within 10 calls apiece.
Right.
So it is a 5 municipality responsibility, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that I had, I know that the ambulance people, personnel, are the ones that are getting paid are only making $11 an hour. Do you have a figure, and it's something the board would have to discuss, obviously, but do you have a figure of what it would take to pay people $15 an hour, or whatever that number that you think is a fair, a more fair number? And I'm not picking that number, I'm just pulling it out of thin air, so.
The discussion has been, since there was hope to try to keep us going, that discussion has been brought up many times. The number of $14 an hour was raised quite a few times. In the research that was done, that would put us a little bit above a majority of the services in the center region, Center County, and I think that would promote us hiring personnel at $14 an hour. The numbers I have been running have been based on $14 an hour, and if we get fully staffed, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that will increase our payroll to $245,000, is what will increase it. When we ran our budget for 2022, we made the assumption we were going to be fully staffed because we were hoping to hire people. We went, in January 1 of that year, we went from $10 an hour and $9.50. It was $9.50 for newer people, $10 for the more experienced people an hour. We raised it by $1 an hour. So everybody was raised up to, or $1.50. They were raised to $11 an hour. Our budget put that payroll expense at $203,000 for 2022, just at $11 an hour with full staff.
Now, with all your other related costs, operational costs, capital costs, things like that, Do you have a total figure with the payroll included?
Our operating budget for 2022 was $309,000 is what it cost us roughly to run. There might be some change in that, but 309 was
2022?
for 2022 is what we budgeted. The unfortunate part about the way EMS runs, the way Port Matota ran, I can only speak for Port Matota because that's what I have hands on. With insurance reimbursements, the money given to us by the municipalities, our fundraisers, which are very minimal. We have a fundraiser at least twice a year, and honestly, the money we make on the fundraiser does not even cover our payroll for a 2-week period. But we do it as a public awareness. And lastly, our memberships. And last year, there's been some discussion about if we were to be able to go door to door, do something different about increasing our memberships. Our largest membership drive was last year in 2022. We did approximately 20% of the 50,000 or 5,000, excuse me, that we sent out. We got a return of 20%. That gave us an amount of $78,000. I was asked if we were to go door to door and push that number another 5, 10, 15%, and I don't know if there's even room to do that because we have never had the success we had in 2022, which was at 20%. But roughly I did the math, and if we sell another 5%, that increases our memberships by $20,000. So where I was going with this was with our memberships, insurance, reimbursements, fundraisers, and what contributions that we get, we typically run in the red about September timeframe. We have some money set aside to kind of cover our payroll cost at that point. We're not buying equipment. We're not buying supplies. We're not doing anything. We're covering that payroll so that we can get our memberships out in October, and then our memberships start coming in, and that's what floats us through to the end of the year. So that number of 309,000 is somewhat misgiving because it doesn't give us a full year, but that's what we operate on. And I hate to say that, but that's the reality. Come
So you're
September,
saying an annual budget would be more than 309,000?
would be more than that, absolutely.
Like 330 or something?
Yeah, without
Whatever
running
the
the
number
numbers, it
is.
could very well be that, yes. Because we end up in the last couple months of the year just taking what we can to cover payroll until membership starts coming in.
As the donations by citizens, like non-membership donations, are they up? Are they the same?
2022, 2021 and 2022, they have increased. Actually, we've had some substantial donations by people that were outside the coverage area. We had a substantial donation from them. So when the awareness is out there, the monies did come in. We would estimate that between what the donations have been, we've probably got an additional bottom line in that 21, 22 range of probably $20,000.
Got some help.
Oh, absolutely. And the downside about all of this has been that over the years, we've always said we needed help. But the sad part about EMS is that we're in it for the helping people, not in trying to make money. So we make it work. And unfortunately, we can't make it work anymore. It's just not there. It's just reimbursements are down. I mean, I could bore you for another hour on why it's not working. The biggest thing was loss of staff, and I can't pay the staff.
Right.
If we'd have kept the staff, we'd have said, okay, we need some more money. That would our amounts that are our contributions probably would have went up a little bit. We'd have been in the same boat next year, and we'd have kept it going. But when I lost the 2 staff members, as I had mentioned in the last meeting, that's what effectively closed our doors because I can't hire at the $11 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did get from the public notification of all this, the word getting out. We did end up hiring last year. In the middle of December, we hired 2 new employees. They're very young, very inexperienced. They've got to come a long way before I feel 100% comfortable with them, but they're filling a spot at this point. I have just received word that there are 2 individuals that want to take EMT training in January. There's a course starting January 17th. The cost of an EMT class right now at CPI was $1,100. So they're definitely going to need some kind of assistance from wherever. Municipalities, Center Region, Seven Mountains EMS, but they're going to need money as they're college students, and they want to do it. And they said that if they get through the class, they would be willing to commit. They have another year at Penn State. They'd be willing to commit another year with Port Matilda EMS working.
They're willing
for
to
us.
run with you guys for a year
Yes.
if somebody else can help handle or cover their class costs.
Correct. So there are things starting to move, but again, at this point right now, we are currently right now, if you call 911 at Port Matilda, we are closed tonight because I work. Tomorrow I work tomorrow night at Port Matilda. I'll be there during the day. I work Thursday night. I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I'm working at my other job. So we have nobody. So if you call in the next 5 days, you're only going to get a chance that it'll be me because I'm the only one on it at this point until I can get some more help. So.
Questions by any other board members?
Are the people out there get the money? Or are the people wanting to step up and do it, or?
Do EMS?
Yeah.
There are, but each year EMS loses across the state thousands of EMS providers because the money is just not there. Again, I apologize not having the actual numbers. My partner at work happened to write her master's thesis on EMS in the state of Pennsylvania, and the numbers were staggering based on data she had from 2021 of the number of EMS providers that leave the profession because of money, or some want to advance their careers and go from EMTs to doctors or whatever, but a majority of it is money, and they're leaving by the thousands. So I don't know. I don't know.
Unfortunately, the way the world's going today, nobody wants to step up and do anything, so.
I know from conversations I've had, because again, as I've reminded people, I work in Lewistown at FAME EMS over there. That's my full-time position, and that company sponsors an EMT class, and right now they have 20 people in that class. So they're hoping to graduate 20 people in the next 3 months, and their goal is to promote it, run the class. A lot of their instructors are employees at the FAME, and then have those people come and run with us because you have to do so much time on a truck to learn some practical hands-on experience. Having them run on the trucks over there, and then hopefully feed them into their service. So there are some people out there. I mean, there's a class of 20 that they're hoping to fill, or that they've filled.
Ms. Hughes, if you have a question.
Yes, can you tell me how much an hour and what benefits they get over in Seven Mountains that might be attracting these people to this class?
At Lewistown, you mean?
Yeah. You.
Lewistown pays for EMT starting salary is $13.25 an hour. They have, if you're an employee there, your health insurance is 100% covered. Your deductible, any deductible, is 100% covered by the company. So you only have to pay your copay when you go see a doctor. Their retirement plan is, if you sign up for the retirement plan, they match dollar for dollar with no limit. So if you hypothetically want to put your entire paycheck into your retirement, they'll match an entire paycheck. That's the benefits at FAME.
And that is EMS service at Lewistown?
Yes, it's FAME EMS.
Okay, is that a city or borough EMS service? Is it
No, it's
affiliated
just-
with the hospital? It's an
No.
independent EMS service?
Yes. Yes. But again, you're talking that they pretty much cover, because they do advanced life-saving or ALS, they have paramedics, they pretty much cover the entire county for the ALS side, which is a higher billing rate. The other services in that area are struggling. Big Valley, which is Belleville, Milroy, McVeigh, they're all struggling with people. They can't staff. I worked last night, and McVeigh couldn't get out for any calls, and that's extremely rare for them. So what ends up happening is the FAME picks up those calls. So they're pretty much, in a sense, covering the entire county of Mifflin County.
Mm-hmm.
So is their funding covered by insurance companies? Is that how they're funded?
Same, municipalities provide, all the municipalities that they cover provide for them. They are covered with insurance companies. They're covered with donations that they get, and then They also have an attachment to that of a non-emergency transport service where if you have a doctor's appointment and you're in a nursing home, they can pick you up in a van, take you to the doctor's appointment and come back. Now that's all private pay. That's not insurance pay. So they get that money coming in.
And Jack, we have that here too, right?
You have that.
You don't have the drivers.
Correct. I don't have the drivers.
If we had the drivers, and that's a lucrative
Absolutely.
aspect of your operation.
Absolutely. The van actually went for inspection. It needs $900 for repairs at the moment. We have the money on that because we have taken some money in from the company that refers patients to us for that. Ironically enough, I have a bill to submit to them which will cover that repairs that's needed for that van. We have a call that we're doing tomorrow that one of our guys, or a volunteer, will do it. And we have to borrow a van from Center Lifelink to cover that call because we've already committed to it.
Can we get some kind of commitment from you, and I know I hate to put you on the spot, about being here in 30 days, 40 days, whatever it is? Here's just my idea, and I know you and I talked about it. We have $14,500 budgeted for EMS as a direct payment for 2023, and that was before all this hit the fan. And I know it's inadequate to cover the cost, but that's where we're at. If you guys were to have that money, how long would you foresee being able to keep the doors open? My concern is that there's going to be a meeting on the 24th with the Upper Bald Eagle COG, and they're going to, because it's government, it's going to take a while. Mm-hmm. And what I'd like to do is discharge, and I don't know if I have the votes to do this, but I would like to discharge our entirety of our contract to you to keep your doors open. But I need some kind of guarantee they're going to be there. So I think if you get the mailers out, I think we'll be good. Mm-hmm. And then we can sit down and hammer out the rest of this with the other municipalities, whatever that looks like. It will definitely be better than what it is now.
Mr. Chair, we have a meeting next week with the Upper Bald Eagle Halfmoon COG. I'll be attending it. Jack will be there. You can attend. I think what we should do is, bring something to the meeting with them. Say, we're willing to commit to, additional funding or whatever the case may be. But here are our expectations of the other municipalities. You need to wake up. You need to realize that you have an EMS service that is going to go out of business, and you're not going to have the coverage without them. You're not going to have the emergency response that we as municipalities are obligated to provide for each of our municipalities, for the citizens of our municipalities. We're willing to, commit additional funds, but we want to see an additional commitment on their part, what they're willing to do. We need to have this discussion next week and not wait till the 24th. Okay, we need to bring it up now. We need to press the urgency of it. Okay, and we need to get commitments from them too. I think that's only fair. Now, I've heard all kinds of comments, all kinds of opinions about this. We ought to have a discussion about what that allocation for EMS is, how it was arrived at, where the number came from. Because frankly, there are I don't quite understand it myself. So it's not based on a specific budget request.
Nope.
For money, for a specific amount of money, and that's where we run into a problem here. It's almost like a donation. We set aside some money. This is what it is. Okay. Excuse me, I'm speaking. It is a donation. It is not based on a specific budget. Okay, that's been approved and that's been disseminated to the various municipalities. And say, this is what it costs to run an EMS service. It's a lot more, I agree with you. It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think the facts need to be right up in front of everybody. Say, this is what it's going, if it's $330,000 a year, then it's $330,000 a year. And every municipality needs to see that figure and realize that the municipal government contribution can't be based on some arbitrary number that we want to donate. I think that's my understanding of the last year it was, what was it last year, 12,000 something?
12,500.
This year it's going to be 14,000.
5.
How does Lewistown handle that? Like you said, they have their municipalities, do they have contracts, do they have set amounts or some
Yeah, they
formula that they figure out so that they're not going through this and it's just
They have
constant
contracts.
funding?
It's a distributed amount among the various
With all
municipalities.
these municipalities? And
They
how,
won't enter into a coverage area. For example, I don't know the nuts and bolts. I'm just knowing the overall picture. Brown Township, if you're familiar with where the Sheets is on 322, that's Brown Township there. There was a discussion about funding with Milroy. They asked the FAME to come in and cover. FAME would not do it until they contracted to a certain amount. I don't know what the amount is. It's beyond my pay grade.
so they set that, the
They set it
ambulance
up.
company set that amount?
But if I may interrupt for a moment, Ron,
Jack.
we have taken to COG. I apologize if it has not gotten to you guys or Half Moon, or excuse me, or Worth. We have taken a budget. As a matter of fact, up until last year, and I know there's going to be sighs from the audience, up until last year, there was never really a budget because we could not budget what the insurance reimbursements are going to be. They were so varied. Last year, we sat down in 2022 and put a budget together. And when the COG meetings weren't present, that budget was presented to them with explanations that, yes, this number looks like it's kind of high, but we have a grant for $37,000 that just came in. And that grant has to be dedicated to equipment only. We've explained that during the COG meetings. So I will get a budget for you. As a matter of fact, Amy, the one young lady that left with us, that's going to another service for more money, she agreed to stay on for the month of January, working 1 day a week. She did our budgets and so forth for us. She's willing to help us continue on putting a budget together for the month of January. So there will be a budget.
Now, your profit and loss statement, because I started being a representative to the COG in September. And I have your profit and loss statement. It does show the budgeted amount for 2022. It shows payroll and it shows total. And yet it's like nobody wants to talk about it. But next week we can't do that anymore. We have to address it head on. We either have to have commitment or we're not going to be able to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
Well, I think one thing we're going to run into with this timing is the other municipalities, just like us, have set their budgets, and whether because if they don't have the funds, I don't know how they're set for, since they're smaller, and if they've gotten ARP funds or whatever, but they've already set their budgets and their tax increases, so that could be an issue just getting through this
Sure,
year.
Patty, I
until we
agree with you
figure out
on that. That's why we do budgeting in August and September and October.
But if they're
I will tell you that, again, if I can get, I can speak to the service to this point because I have to answer to a board of directors or officers. But I can tell you that if I can get some kind of commitment and we can get some kind of boost in the system, and nobody's going to expect us to be open for the next year for 365 days out of the year, that we can run where 2 or 3 days we're out of service, I could see with a commitment doing what we're doing and trying to get a couple people in and keeping the service open for another year. That's what I want to do. And then when budgets are made, we can sit down and say, okay, we've got this amount budgeted. I can hire 4 more employees. I can commit to doing that, but I can't commit as we sit here with Half Moon being the biggest leader pressing this issue when we need so much money for payroll and other expenditures. Like I said, we have 2 units. One's acting up on us. We can put the other one in service. If we can do that for a year, but I can't do it if I don't think that it's going to pay off. And I can't take money from you guys. I just don't feel right about it, taking money from you guys without a commitment from the other municipalities, because if I close in March, say that you asked the question, what could that money get me to? I'm thinking ballpark, and I have to run the numbers, possibly to March, okay? If I can get us to March and we still end up closing, then I feel bad because I've sat here and told you all we can do these things and I haven't been able to produce it. So until the commitment's there, I can tell you, we can keep it going with commitments.
Right.
We can work in those numbers. Those numbers that the others may give may allow me to say, okay, I can get staff for 4 days out of the week, or 3 days, or 5 days. I can run the numbers and figure out what we can do with the money that's committed to us. And I don't have that now. I can't do it. I can't hire people until I know what I'm working with.
Right.
I see that we have, obviously, you need some kind of municipal commitment to keep moving
Right.
forward. We are just one municipality, as you know, so we have to deal with everybody else. It will
Right.
take time.
Right.
I guess if we can get the ambulance company on stable footing, then we can start talking about adjusting for compensation to get the people in. And the only bad thing I feel like is if you went to, say, $14, $15 an hour, and you pluck somebody out of Milesburg, then, you know, we're just shuffling the people around, we're not getting new people. So we've got to work
Right.
on this new person commitment.
Right.
And I don't know if we could do a partnership with the municipalities to get people trained, and those trainees would commit to providing service as part of the deal to our communities. Those kind of things, I think all that stuff needs to come together.
Right.
And this is a hard thing because we've got not just the ambulance company, but there's some fire company people here tonight too, and they've got their issues. But I think you're in the most dire straits right now. So I want to definitely make sure the ambulance company's taken care of, because I want you to be there. It does us no good as a board, as a township, as a community, to fail to have an ambulance service here. It will hurt all of us. Michelle.
My issue, and I totally support the EMS
Oh,
and the
that's
fire
fine.
department, and I
That's fine.
want them fully funded and
That's fine.
overfunded. My concern is, and I'm glad you didn't send out the memberships, because sending out memberships to something you just said we're gonna close, I'm not ready to donate.
Right.
And I'm also not ready to donate if we're gonna be taxed. If we're gonna tax for our portion, for Half Moon's portion, then we're paying already, so then it's no longer to me, it's not really something I wanna donate to, because I'm already paying for it,
Right.
the service. So to me, it needs to come across to the township, but what is the plan? Are you gonna partially fund Half Moon's portion, and then it's up to us to donate, which kind of is cocky to me, but we need a plan. And right now, it sounds like you have all this stuff in your head, you've been doing it a long time, and you know how it works.
Right.
And sometimes that works for a long time until it doesn't.
That's correct.
And so we require from the fire department to have a budget. We saw the budget this summer, and they've spent time coming up with capital estimates for future planning. Is that something you were talking about that you do have? And is that something we can see as residents? Because right now I'm like, I don't want to throw good money after bad, yet I want to support the EMS.
Right.
I want you seem
Absolutely.
awesome. I want you to show up at my door if I have a heart attack. But right now it just seems really crazy, and so I would love to join this group and want to fully support and throw all the money out that we can, but I'm not for throwing good money after bad. So who's going to take this on? Who's putting this budget together, and we need it fast by the end of January, it sounds like.
You have the budget by the end of January. For the 2023 budget will be put together for January. That is actually, my understanding, it's in the works right now.
And then once he prepares that budget and gives it to you guys, we don't want to just jump in with our 1/5 portion if we don't have commitment from the other townships.
We
Because
do want to
then-
keep the doors open long enough to work out the details with the other township, and I'll get to your questions in a second. But I could see Halfmoon Township, because we have financial backing, maybe acting as the bank for 2023. And then when the 2024 contracts kick in, maybe Halfmoon doesn't have to pay as much because we took care of our portion ahead of time. Depending on what kind of a deal we work out. But that remains to be seen, because we have the other municipalities which we have to deal with.
Or is this group that's been talking, are they willing to do some sort of fundraiser to support that versus?
No, I don't think we can do a fundraiser. Not that we wouldn't support it if they had one, but we're a couple of people, or just a few people, we can't do a fundraiser.
Gentleman in the back with a,
Yes, this is.
What's your name, by the way, sir?
Adam, Adam Armstrong. And I mean, I just, especially after listening to what you're saying, I mean, it almost sounds like you're not saving an EMS, it's dead. You're talking about building Halfmoon Township EMS out of a building with a couple broken vans. I mean, not that it's not good, and I'm totally, trust me, the nature of our business with, you know, having owned a standing ovation equestrian center, we've used EMS more probably in the last 15 years than everybody in this room combined. I'm totally for whatever it takes from everybody to get the best EMS, but after hearing, especially after hearing what you're saying about Fame and Lewistown, why is there no talk about taking Halfmoon's resources and giving it to Center Lifelink and I mean, it's not like you call 911. Well, there seems to be this undertone that like you call 911 and he doesn't happen to be there, and they're like, oh, sorry, you're in Halfmoon Township, nobody's coming. And that's not even
well,
remotely
the day I
reality.
stopped by to make a personal donation to the ambulance company
Right.
a couple weeks ago, they had just come back in a run filling in for Center Lifelink because Center Lifelink didn't have the personnel to cover
Sure, but like he's
the
saying,
job.
Fame, one of the reasons they're successful is because they're covering the whole areas and they're doing it better than a whole bunch of little remote ambulance stations all over the place. So
One of the factors,
it
though,
seems
is
like the stronger
Wait a minute.
facility should get the money. And I mean, well, until 2 years ago, they were running out of Hallbaker Industrial Drive. So
But
they
they're
were,
not
what,
there
5
now.
miles away.
So let me,
Their office very back, their secondary office.
Jack, you want to respond to that? Or I'm going to hit a few audience people here before.
I will just tell you that the only thing I will add to or discuss with your point was that Fame is not as successful as I mean, they offer these benefits, they offer those type of things, but they're currently down 8 EMTs and 6 paramedics. So they're having staffing issues.
Sure.
We're understaffed in every call that we do. We are sometimes 4th and 5th due, and we're not getting out. And we don't have to, if one of the areas, Belleville, Milroy, McVeigh, if they get a call and we're in our primary area, we don't have to drop what we're doing to go right to that call.
Right.
So we tell dispatch, when we free up, we'll go to that call. Whereas if a Milroy was viable, Belleville, McVeigh, Port Matilda, and you got a crew that went out, even if it's the worst call that you could imagine,
Right.
at least they're doing basic life saving at that point in time until a unit can free up to come in with advanced life saving skills. So again, I
So
can't
the
change.
resources, you're saying, the resources to make Port Matilda viable is better spent than all those same resources, including the people that are already working there, going to Center Lifelink and just letting Center Lifelink, you could just ask Center Lifelink, how much do you need from Halfmoon Township to be able to include, you know what I mean? It's not this like vague, like, well, maybe if we get some people, you know what I mean? Would the resources of Port Matilda be better off go to Center Lifelink and cover, I mean, certainly the rest of Bald Eagle, all the other townships are certainly in a way worse position than Halfmoon is because we're like you know what I mean? Like Center Lifelink's going to cover us. I mean, obviously if they can, just like Alpha's going to cover us, assuming they can and they have the people, but it seems like would the resources be better spent boosting Center Lifelink? I mean, if Center Lifelink got $50,000 from Halfmoon Township a year, do they open a satellite station?
I don't
again
think they're
and
going
start
to do
running-
that for 50 grand.
Well, no, I don't know, but I'm saying, does that help them more to provide coverage to Halfmoon Township than that same money helps Port Matilda to exist?
Well, see, I know you haven't been here before on this matter, and you're
Yeah.
down here because you're obviously concerned, but here's the problem. Port Matilda Fire Company, Port Matilda Ambulance Company, we had a contract work out with a fire company a long time ago. We never really did anything with the ambulance company, but nobody from the ambulance company ever really said we needed a contract. But now we're down to the wire. And I think it benefits everybody to keep Port Matilda Ambulance Company. They're close. I mean, people think it's a long ways over that hill, but it's not. Get on it, press the odometer on your car. You know, it's not that far. And, you know, they have served us, done a fantastic position since they have been created. They've done a lot with very little. And Now that this board is aware, we are making other boards aware. And I think if everybody's willing to step up as a community, and I kind of disagree with some people out there and say, well, I don't want to send my membership in. I don't care. I'm willing to write a check for a membership, not knowing whether you're going to be here, because if you're here another 30 days, then that's 30 days you're protecting our citizens. And if that's all we can get out of it or all we can do, then that's all we can do. But it's important to me that the ambulance company keep on going. You're close to everybody. You've been doing a great job over the years. And I, for one, am not going to allow this ambulance company to go down the drain. And like I say, whatever it takes, I'm willing to commit to that to keep it going. And that's why, you know, we're going to have the meeting with the Upper Bald Eagle COG. And you're right. You guys came in there and you talked to people, and messages did not get carried back to the board. Say, we had a representative here before. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to fuss at them. But the urgency was not conveyed to this board. So the urgency is now conveyed to this board. And I'm going to pledge to do whatever I can to keep your doors open. So given that, Ms. Hughes had a question back there in the back.
Yes, I understand that all the municipalities have ARPA funds, and haven't decided what to do with them yet. Could those be a source of funds to get us through the crisis until we can get contracts set up?
That is a possibility, as long as the feds decide that whatever.
I understand you
because
making
we are
decisions.
limited, and we better do what they say, or else.
And it also concerns me that we set like the wages too low. I know it costs money to make them higher, but on the other hand, $14 an hour is not much if people can get $20 an hour working for our road crew and $19 an hour at McDonald's.
The township
there's no point putting a lot of money in if you haven't getting created a base.
The township has no control over that. That is going to have to be done through the ambulance company.
Yeah, okay, well,
They
that's,
set the rates.
well, okay,
And if they have the money, I'm sure they'll make the rates favorable so they can get the people that they need.
okay.
But we've got to make sure that they get the money and make sure the doors are going to stay open. There's a question over here, gentleman on the end. You didn't have anything? Anybody else?
Mr. Hughes had a question.
Oh, yes, please.
I have a question that if you were to close, what would Halfmoon Township, we would go Lifelink, right?
Not necessarily. You would be whatever service would be available to cover.
And what are those services?
AMED, Shannon Valley, Bellefonte, Center Lifelink. Huntington's not going to come up this far. They don't even get out in their own area. You know if I missed anybody?
Mo Valley covers Phillipsburg.
Yeah, Mo Valley covers Phillipsburg.
That's it for the area.
Yeah.
And we would have to get a contract with them through the township in order for that service?
Yes. You would have to have a contract.
And that's going to cost us what? That would have to be determined.
Yes.
What I can address a couple of these issues that he
Sure, please.
Please do. One of them is your response areas are not determined by the ambulance service. They're actually determined by Pennsylvania EMA dispatch regions. And so when you look at a mapped out area of response areas, those are determined by the 911 dispatch leaders and stuff that get involved in that. Center Lifelink, which everybody seems to be hanging their hat on as the rescue for this area. I know Center Lifelink very well. They also are having staffing issues. 15% of our calls for Center Lifelink are out of our coverage area, meaning we go to Huntington, we go to Clinton County, and when you want to call an ambulance and you say, hey, I need an ambulance right now, even if there's one available, it may not be coming from Puddingtown Road in State College. It may be coming, the one that just cleared in Huntington, that's now coming back with a 15-minute ETA to get out here. I also spoke with one of the administrators for Center Lifelink today just to get an idea, and he said he doubts very much that they would even consider covering these areas without a contracted service to every community out here, because you know, we've got a service here that's moving heaven and earth to try to survive, and they can't do it because they don't have enough municipal funding. And now you're saying, hey, maybe someone else would love to come out and jump into that position. Well, No, they don't. They don't want to do that. They don't want to jump into an EMS service they can't survive because there's not enough municipal funding for it. Center Lifelink gets 14% on their membership drive. And so this is a very unfortunate thing, but people don't want to understand there's a financial need for EMS. They suspect it's covered by insurance, which is a major misnomer. Okay, we get about 50% of what we bill comes back from insurance companies. They go, well, geez, we got this huge bill. Yeah, but we didn't get paid for it. Okay, there was a large bill. So membership is not something that is like, yeah, I'd like to be nice and donate to the service. With EMS, it has traditionally been one way that we fund a very underfunded service. And this is a national problem everywhere. Everywhere in the United States right now, EMS is being crippled and their service is closing down. So.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Maria Schoenholtz. I'm a Halfmoon Township resident. Is there rhyme or reason to how the amount of money the other municipalities were contributing to this, or was it just sort of like an arbitrary amount that each municipality agreed upon?
It's just arbitrary. The municipalities have just given whatever. As far as I know, Jack, you don't have any contracts with anybody.
No, there are no contracts.
So it's just a random thing. The nursing agency used to come in here 30 years ago and ask for a donation, and the township always gave them $500. Now, presumably it was to help with nursing issues in the township, but, sometimes the civic organizations or like fire EMS came in and said, hey, we need some help, and the township said, all those in favor signify by sending them $1,000. I don't know the details on the other municipalities as far as ambulance support goes. It should be consistent.
And at least start with the budget amount that's needed and then work backwards.
Well, right, and we've got to sit down and talk with that. If you go over to Taylor Township, it's been a long time since I looked at their budget, but I had the opportunity to look at their budget 20-some years ago, and it's like, my God, there's people in our township that make way more money than the township's budget is, and, it doesn't have 15 miles of road to deal with. So, they all feel like they're under the strain, especially this year, inflation's through the roof. Cost of asphalt and repairs, you got to keep the roads up, or nobody's getting there. So, there's a lot of stuff that is weighing heavily on these municipalities, and they're trying to make it work. But I think after the 10th and maybe after the 24th, we're going to have a pretty good idea who's able to do what. And certainly, if we can get through till next year, and everybody can get it in their budget for the following year, so 2024 rolls around, maybe the ambulance company can be on solid ground and they'll know exactly what they're getting and what they need to operate and some of those things. Right now, we don't know, but we need, we may have to give some legal assistance with the ambulance company to help them get their money out of their, the insurance companies that don't want to pay. There's nothing worse than, you took the ride and now they're like, if half of them aren't paying, we've all just paid for somebody to ride for nothing. So,
but Dave, it also seems to me that no matter who I pay my membership to, whether it's Port Matilda EMS, Center Lifelink, or all of them combined, I always run the risk of not having that service available. Any one of them could go out of business.
Well, even if they are in business, they may not show up.
Now, that. So I think we all take a gamble when we buy membership, that whether or not that service is going to be there. That's always been the case.
But if you don't buy a membership, I guarantee you they won't be there.
But there are also reasons to buy a membership, and I'm not so sure most people even understand why you would buy a membership. What does it even cover? It does cover something.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let Jack explain what the membership does.
The way the membership works is that if you are a member and we pick you up, whatever the insurance reimburses us for is what we accept, and we do not go after the patient for any deficiency balance because you're a member. So, for example, $750 is roughly the amount when we go out the door for a basic life-saving call, BLS call. If the insurance company decides to pay us $350, we take $350 and we don't go after the member for the difference. If you're not a member and the insurance pays $350, the difference then we go after the patient for the difference through a collection agency or potentially legal action. That's rare and far between, few and far between in the state of Pennsylvania, but we have that option. But that's how the membership works. The reason it was done that way is a lot of times people had some kind of deductible on their insurance. So if you had a $750 ambulance call and insurance paid $650 because you had a $100 deductible, then we were taking $100 on that. But the reimbursements, as Dr. Neal had mentioned, they're down about 50% now. So we can pretty much guess that on a call that goes out, we're going to get about 50% of that money back.
Okay, yes, please.
Yeah, Halfmoon Township. I'd like to ask Donna to read the figure you mentioned, because based on the figure, Halfmoon pays least to second per household.
Yes.
What was the number?
It's $4.43 per person, not household, per person, which is second to last. That was in the statement I made earlier.
Yes, sir.
To me, we keep quibbling. It's kind of admiring the problem, right? The problem's over there. The EMS has a problem. We keep painting it as EMS has a problem. They've historically had a problem, Port Matilda EMS and that. Halfmoon Township has a problem. We have a problem. I do appreciate, Dave, you offered to think out of the box and look at what we can do now by throwing a lifeline. We threw a lifeline a month ago or so with $8,000 and there's $14,000 to play with. I think we don't want this to be on his shoulders. We're putting all this weight on the shoulders of just a few heroes right now. This is our problem as Halfmoon Township. We really need to look at this, and you could look at this, we've been studying this over the last month or two, and like you mentioned, we didn't know the depth of this problem. I've read in the paper, a couple of years ago they were failing. I think Hawbaker made a donation a couple of years ago that saved their bacon. We've seen this movie before, and sometimes right here. We've got to stop painting it as Port Matilda EMS's problem. And what's our solution for Halfmoon Township residents? What's the solution for my family and yours to assure that somebody is going to be there when 911 calls? To me, it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. I represent, the fire company a lot of times when I'm over here because I volunteer for them. That means I have a little more visibility in how these things work. Going to the COG meeting, I absolutely would like to, to have, our newer representative to the COG representing how important it is that they need to step up to the table. That's great. I'm glad that we're going to take the lead on this. But sometimes taking the lead means a little more than talk. It means putting your money where your mouth is and putting the resources that we have and, the thinkers that we have over here to be innovative and try to solve this problem. We have the capability, we have the money, we have the technology to help these folks and to help them get volunteers. And yes, we can help with fundraising. Some of us have those skills. But gosh, I hate to think, well, we gave them $8,000 and that'll, if I set my watch, well, that might hold us through middle of February. That's crazy.
The thought was to keep the doors open.
No, yeah, I appreciate
Not only
it.
that.
So what I'm saying is, let's sustain them. Let's save the organization first and foremost. We have a core there. Save that core organization, because the alternative to me, we're gonna have to start all over again. I just don't think that anyone is gonna start over and build us a new EMS that's going to be,
No, the cost would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to start over. We already have a perfectly good EMS. We just have to get more members and more donations and
I don't know if they're
and a
perfectly
funding
good,
system.
but they're something.
Yeah.
Something's better than nothing.
Well, they've been very good in this area for a very long time, and I'd like to see them continue.
May I just make a comment?
Sure.
I apologize to everybody here. I have to get to my other job. I'm already a little bit late. If anybody has any specific questions for me, I will give you my cell phone number in public on CNET. Please call me. I may not get right with you, or may have to say, who is this, because I don't have caller ID all the time. But my cell phone number is 814-404-4734. My name's Jack. Last name Bonsell, Bonsell. you're always welcome to call me. And if there's any other, and again, I'm apologizing because I do have to go. I know Dr. Neal is very familiar with our situation. He has been a medical director for us for quite a few years, and we've been blessed to have him because he's given us a lot of opportunities to grow the service on the EMS side with things that we can do that other services can't do because of cost or experience or whatever the case is. So I'm sure he can answer any questions that you may have that I'm not able to answer. So
Thank you.
please, again, I
Thanks, Jack.
apologize. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. No,
Thanks, guys.
appreciate your coming in on short notice. Well, board, we want to discharge any additional funds at this time. We have,
It sounds like they should send out, it sounds like we're talking about discharging funds, and we should have them send out those flyers.
yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to send out the flyers. They have to do it. I hear a motion to discharge any funds,
Well,
extra funds.
Extra, are you talking
Well,
about the
what's budgeted?
14,500 that we already had budgeted?
Yeah, the money we had budgeted. Normally, we would give that out in quarterly payments. And I'm gonna recommend that we either give it out 50% now and then 50% after the meeting on the 21st, or, which would give us time to see what the 21st creates. I'm relying on Ron to,
You mean the 10th?
well, the 10th and the 24th, excuse me. Relying on Ron and the others that attend. I am probably not gonna be able to attend that meeting because I have another meeting to attend, but I'm sure we can have a quorum there. So,
It sounded to me like Jack was pumping the brakes on funding right now. He talked about municipal commitment. He talked about the meetings coming up. He wanted to know what was happening before more money's just thrown at the problem. That is what I understood from him.
Well, the other thing is, I talked to him today on the phone. The $8,300 money that, you know, the stopgap amount that we made, was also to be an incentive to the other municipalities. And what he told me is he has not heard from any of the municipalities any kind of commitment to help in any way above and beyond the amount that they've allocated in their budgets for EMS. I don't even know how much that is in dollar amounts, okay? I don't have a problem adding to the $8,300. We budgeted an amount for this year. It was based on our best guess of what, you know, we knew we needed to give them more money, but
with no input from the ambulance.
we didn't have any input. We didn't have a model. We don't have a plan. We don't have a budget. You know, and I'm sure the other municipalities don't have it either. Okay, but I think by Tuesday, they ought to understand what exactly the EMS needs. How much do they need? I also agree with, we can't just hang our hat on Center Lifelink. Okay, Center Lifelink is a good company. You know, they're all good companies. But, and like you said, they all have financial issues. You know, the difference between Center Lifelink and Port Matilda EMS is response time. They have a much shorter response time at Port Matilda EMS. And that's very important. And it's very important that we do what we can to maintain the viability of that company, if in fact the viability can be maintained. But my point has been, and will continue to be, that we cannot maintain the viability of Port Matilda, in my opinion, we can't maintain the viability of Port Matilda EMS by ourselves. And I think it's selfish of the other municipalities to assume that, or for anybody to assume that. And we need, when we're spending money, we need some written or some documentary accountability for it. I mean, it's our fiduciary responsibility to make that.
I know where the money's gonna go, but, you know, if we don't keep
Can't
this
just throw
thing
money at the
floating.
problem.
No, you can't, but you gotta keep this thing floating long enough to figure out the details.
Until we can
well,
get
you know,
contracts, we have to get contracts, I think, for all the municipalities have to have a set
Right, we all
contract
need
based
to
on
have
the budget.
contracts.
But we have to keep them going until that point, which is what Dave's point is.
I agree, I understand that, Patty.
But
I
we
don't
have,
disagree.
we have money budgeted for them,
I think
whether
we
we
should-
give it to them all at once or give it to them in quarters. I mean, obviously, money is an issue right now. They've gotta get the membership cards out there. If they can get the membership cards out there, that will give everybody time to work out the details, to get the contracts, to do what we need to do. If they don't, and I don't know why, I understand why they don't want to mail them out, because they don't want to say, well, too bad, so sad we went under. But other companies do it all the time. And not just ambulance companies, but other businesses do that. They send out a magazine subscription, and then you never get the magazine because they went under.
If we want to do a 50% of the 2023 budget up front, you know, do it in 50% increments instead of quarterly, and give them 50% right now, okay. That's an additional stopgap measure. That's all it is.
And I move that we give 50% of our budgeted money to the Port Matilda Ambulance Company, effective as soon as Brett can cut the check, and that will give us time to try to figure out the rest of the details.
Extend the time, is all it really is going to do.
Well, we've got to extend the time because we've got to keep it going until we can get the details worked out. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion by the board?
Yeah, I don't think that this is what Jack wanted.
Yeah, I think it is. Because it's going to take, until the municipalities nothing's going to happen they're only good till like the beginning of February. And even no matter what's decided on the 26th, nothing's going to turn around that fast. And it's already money we have budgeted for them.
The next
so why not?
supervisors meetings are going to be the second week in February. You know, even if it goes back, even if, let's say, Taylor, Worth, Houston, whatever it is, the board says, all right, we're going to allocate, because they can make a single line transfer, they can increase by 25% in that line item. Even if they voted to do that, it's going to be the middle to end of February till that money could even come in.
Our next meeting is on the 26th,
Ours
2
is.
days after the meeting with all the municipalities. We could vote, and we could vote then with good conscience on what we learned from those 2 meetings to give all of it, potentially.
Well, we could do the second 50% then.
You know, we should not allocate additional money unless, or if we do, it's with the proviso that the other municipalities increase their allocation to the Port Matilda EMS. You know, and this one we gave them $8,300 unconditionally. The other municipalities did not respond. It was supposed to be an incentive to them as well.
Oh, it was for payroll.
And they did not respond, okay? This one should be conditional, that they do respond. How are we going to convince them or persuade them to increase their allocation if we simply are giving the money? Because I know, I see the psychology of it already. They're going to say, well, that's one more thing that we don't have to do. That's how I perceive things happening.
Well, I think for next year, we're going to have the contracts, and they're going to have to either sign the contract or not be in the service area like they do at Lewistown, but we got to get through to that. That's not going to happen until they budget.
And I think that is a point that we have to bring to them and say, this is what we're going to do. And if you don't participate, now, can we legally do that? I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you can. They can draw up a contract and
You can legally
Do that.
require a contract for a community.
Okay.
And when we
there
don't
we go.
we don't do their cover area or service area.
You are legally required to cover that area if you're available.
Contractor, no.
Contractor, no. That's why we end up like LifeLink goes to Huntington pretty regularly. It's like, really, that's really convenient. It's almost an hour down and an hour back.
Wow. Again?
They get canceled there. It's 2 hours of road time.
So they say, no, we're not going to participate.
But your primary response area would be your first area to respond to. So if you had a call here and a call there, you would be going here, and they would be finding another ambulance to respond to, East Bumshoe, Pennsylvania, wherever you want to
And
go.
that's why it's important that we have the contract.
Oh, absolutely.
And to me, we're only making a donation at this point. We talk about, we throw around the words funding. We're funding the EMS and we're paying more. We are paying more, but it still works out to $4 and change per person as citizens. We're not funding them, we're providing a donation. I think we have to remember.
That's all we've ever done because we never had a contract.
But I think, the paradigm has changed, right? They're not getting the reimbursements and, they're in a tough spot.
I think they've been doing that. That's been happening for years.
I believe the paradigm is changing, and I believe Jack said tonight he did not come for funding. I may have been the only person that heard that tonight. He was not asking for more money tonight. He came to answer questions, and that he was going to feel badly to take more money tonight not knowing the situation of what was happening until after those meetings. That is what I heard. Perhaps I'm the only one that heard that. And the meeting is coming
No.
next week and the week after. Am I in my own delusional world then?
I heard something similar because he was concerned, it bothered him to be taking money from us if the other municipalities were not going to participate in solving the problem.
But if they don't
David.
take money, they're done.
And all I'm asking for is to pump the brakes.
They may be,
I don't think we can-
Go longer, a couple of weeks, but if you don't have a budget and a plan, then you're just throwing good money after bad, and then Half Moon's money is covering all
Whether it's-
5 townships, which is fine if you want to donate your money and do that, and that's great, and I might I might choose to do that myself, but I don't think it's appropriate for you as supervisors to use our tax money to cover Taylor Township. I don't think
agree.
that's what you've been,
Which is why we're having the meetings on the 10th and the 24th.
and to wait till those 2 meetings,
However-
and then make the decision on what you do with our tax money.
If it is your tax money, but the money has already been budgeted for 2023, the
For all
14,000,
of 2023.
Yeah.
all 2023.
For our EMS
Right.
coverage, for all of 2023. So why not just go by the quarter? Give our
Well,
money by the quarter and then
because
let
they
the
won't be
citizens
there.
donate more if they choose to.
If
But
they
we don't wanna
close their
cover
door
Taylor Township.
for one of the nail, then we're stuck.
but Dave, we don't have a commitment. We have nothing to hang our hats on in terms of a commitment.
I don't like the situation that we are put in. I don't like the fact that we have other municipalities, some of them may not seem to care, maybe they don't care. Maybe they figure it doesn't matter, somebody's ambulance will show up someplace. I don't like the fact
That's
that,
what's happening.
that we have it, do we buy the ambulance company and move it over on this side of the hill? I mean, if we gotta have an ambulance company, we're gonna have to have an ambulance company of some sort. We can't just let this
If we're
thing
gonna put our
drop.
money after it, then we should have some control over it, for sure.
Well, we also,
If we're gonna fund it.
Well, there's two types of things. We talked about donations here. The township gives money to the ambulance company because we historically have given it. It's not really, it's a donation, but it's not a donation. We as individuals are the ones that make the actual donations.
those donations.
And
are
I've been
tax
harping
dollars.
on that for a while, but that is where the major source of their funding comes from, is the donations from the citizens. And I know they've only got 20% turn back on those mailers. That stinks. I mean, it's good for mailers, but citizen participation ought to be really high. And I always go back to when Warrior Mark needs money, the people dig in their wallets and they crank it out and they give it to the fire company over there and help them out, or whatever. Over here, we just like, whatever, we'll let the taxpayers handle it, or let the tax
I
bill
think
cover
it's-
it.
I
And
think it's a communication problem, because I don't think, as a taxpayer, I don't understand, I didn't know until I got more involved, how much of the tax is covering the fire department or the EMS. And I think it would be really great if you sent an email out to all your residents so that we know what the expectation is. Like, your tax is covering 20% of their expenses, but they're in dire straits, and so you're getting ready to receive this
and I hate to say
membership.
it,
It's not a donation, it's a membership.
but Roseanne did a
That you do
beautiful
get something
flyer
for
for
it.
the ambulance company 2 months ago. And I have made numerous calls to the ambulance company saying, hey, is it okay? Can we mail it out? I even offered to pay for it myself, the mailer. And I don't get a response. And that
But
concerns
that's
me.
concerning me, as you're putting my money
Well,
after
I
a bad
think-
service. Like, maybe they need management.
I think
Maybe
in
what the
fairness,
problem
that
is a
question has
failed
been answered.
membership.
Over and over again, why they didn't send it out.
I understand
It's
that.
an honesty thing. You've got honest, good-hearted people that do not want to take money from somebody and then shut the doors and go, sorry.
And that's what we heard,
And
right?
what-
That's what we heard.
What he said was that if it closed down, he would have to distribute the money evenly to all the municipalities, whether or not they're the ones that paid it.
All right, gentlemen in the back, you've had your hand up for a long time.
If you want them to send the membership things out, please make sure you give them enough money to do that. That costs several $1,000s. It pays for itself.
What did I just
I
say?
said $500.
Actually,
Didn't you say?
the only thing not covered is the postage at this point.
Yeah,
That's
he said it was
$500.
$500 today, yeah.
And, if we want to give money to do that, that's fine. But
It's the postage that costs $500, it's more.
They,
send out.
I think
He
they,
just-
they
He
already have
just
the
sat here and said it was
They already
paid for
paid for it.
already,
They paid
and
for
that
it.
it was gonna cost $500
The
to
mailers are
send
ready
it.
to go.
That's what I heard.
Yes, sir, and wait a minute.
And I think, again, Jack said, he doesn't even need a written thing. If you got a verbal commitment
Yes.
after the COG meeting and all that, those mails would go out. But, you know, he needs, and, you know, that's not my role over at Port Matilda EMS, quite honestly, but these are good people over there. He needs to have some realistic impression that they're not going to have zero funding from anybody but Halfmoon Township, which is kind of what they're seeing right now, is they're getting the, oh, well, and you're hearing, well, you guys should be volunteers. Well, that doesn't cut the mustard, you know. There's a lot of things that they're hearing, but not many of them are involving dollar bills.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, it almost sounds like we might be talking about two different things. What did you offer to pay the postage for?
I offered to mail out Roseanne's flyer.
Right.
It cost to me,
So
but
I'm-
I can't do it for the ambulance company because they have to approve
Right,
it.
but there's two different things we're talking about. We're talking about her flyer and we're talking about the ambulance company's membership thing.
Right, her flyer was the membership. Roseanne doesn't have it, but Roseanne did a beautiful flyer, tugged at the heartstrings. I
It was
mean,
asking for membership, and it was asking for people to step up to volunteer to drive, to be trained as EMT. It was two-folded. But it included the membership.
So would that be in
Appeal
lieu
at the
of the
same
one they
time.
normally do?
yes. The one they normally do, pardon my French, but it sucks. It gives nobody any motivation to do anything. It's a standard canned deal. Okay? When you get that flyer in the mail, most people are gonna look at it and, you know, 80% of them are gonna throw it in the trash. Her flyer bit onto you right away when you looked at it.
But the point, that the mailer that Jack referred to, I believe, is the standard mailer.
Correct.
And they're prepared to go out. And there's a $500 cost for postage to send them out. So all they need is the postage and they can send them out. That's what I heard him say. I'm just repeating what I thought I heard him say.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Let me do this.
I don't think they adopted.
I'd like to withdraw my motion. Patty, would you like to withdraw your second?
Well, if there's no motion, then yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make another motion that we give the fire or ambulance Port Matilda EMS 50% of their budgeted amount in the next week, and then reserve the other 50% for after the meeting at our next regular supervisors meeting, what is it, the 26th? That we can have a discussion about that. And then the board members that attend the COG meetings, and Ron, we can get the full set of details, and then we can decide what we want to do with the rest of the money. But at least it would give them some help, and they can mail out their flyers. We can target it, it has to be payroll in the flyers, if we wish. And targeted for payroll and flyers specifically. I have a second.
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay. Who says nay?
Nay.
Me,
3 nays. Okay, well,
I would sooner see a quarter.
we have to give them the quarter anyways.
Well, let's give it to them now.
Let's give them the quarter tonight. And
I
after
think
the
we give them a
meeting,
quarter of the payment.
and there again, if we have all this money, like you said, let's buy them out. Move them over here, and then you tell the other municipalities, hey, we got all the money in it.
We'll send them a
Now
bill
you're
for
gonna pay us.
$300,000. I'm sure they're gonna pay us.
They're there, but.
All
Maybe up here,
right, I move to release
right?
the quarter of the ambulance funds effective as soon as Brett's able to make the check and get it over to him.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Well, we will revisit this subject on the 26th. End of year report and deficit spend discussion and possible action. Brett, coming on the tails of all that.
Yeah, so, I'll start with the end of year report.
Now, I will say, when I had to make this for purposes of making it public, I only knew the fund balance through the 30th. I've since got an updated amount, so we're looking at $1,166,130.08 after interest and a few other changes of pace through those days. So over the course of last year, the board approved the purchase of a backhoe, approved paying off the Autumn Meadow Park loan, committed $25,000 to the fire companies, as well as previously discussed, we need about $350,000 on an annual basis to roll over until May, until we get a bulk of our tax money. So again, the total committed funds is going to be a bit different than what's on screen. That leaves us with $376,165.13 that has been committed. Therefore, the Western Star lease payoff, that has not been officially voted on. That's a decision you'll have to make throughout this year. If the board chooses to not pay off the final payment, the payment will become due in 2024. When it's all said and done, what's available for deficit spend is $347,648.83. Now, the consensus over the budget meetings of last year was roads and buildings maintenance. They were pretty much the two big categories. Building maintenance has it was mixed reaction. Some weren't interested at all. Some had some stuff. I've been in pre-talks with State College Little League. They are going to want to approach you at some point regarding the snack shacks. That, in my opinion, for now takes those off the table. So that leaves for building-wise the roof at this building, the roof at the maintenance building, and the parking lot reconstruction as the building-type maintenances that were still on the table. The biggest that the board could agree on is roads. They were the biggest consensus. So what we're here tonight for is me, along with Chuck, we're going to go through the scenarios for you guys in hopes that you approve releasing those 5 projects out for bid. The theory of doing all 5, at least requesting bids, is we might entice a company to do all 5 and will give us a better rate, because that is guaranteed work in one spot, which most vendors would love that opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by saying we were notified about 2 weeks ago that we did receive $60,000 in the Center County Liquid Fuels Grant. To specify this, we actually are being paid out of the fee for local use funds, which would be the $5 additional fee on registration. With that being said, what it actually does is it helps take the original amount of Chenelly Drive and Lutz Lane that we asked for. It takes those original commitments down in our state liquid fuels money. So what we'll start off with is what right now Public Works is requesting is the board change their mind from doing a piece of Chenelly to adding what was the original deficit spend Chenelly onto state liquid fuels because it frees up more money. So I'll let Chuck testify to what the project is first, then we'll get back to the finance side of it.
Okay, so, excuse me. So originally Chenelly Drive, it was discussed approximately a half-mile length, which started at Lutz Lane, include a short portion of Lynn Circle. Mostly what we're trying to do is cover a lot of the areas that are heavy alligator cracking, some severe base issues there, and that would work our way through that wooded, shaded portion, and I believe ends somewhere in the 400 block of Chenelly. What I'm proposing is that because of this and kind of piecing things together, I would prefer that we started at Lutz and we actually ended at the intersection where there's the 3-way stop at Derrick. Reason being is, as you go through the dip in Chenelly, there's a lot of cracking. There's definitely portions of this road that need some attention while it's still good. If we get it taken care of now and save what we have, it's gonna save us a lot of money in the future. As well as providing that that joint where we would start and stop in a little better location. You know, bringing it at a stop sign where we would go in the future, we could tie in at a better location and continue on with repairs as necessary. So like I said, that is what I'm proposing with that. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer as necessary, but I'll turn it back over to Brett.
So, you probably don't remember this, but in the budget that was approved, the original project was quoted by Don Franson at $91,470 for the original piece. And then the board had said the other section Chuck attested to, they wanted to deficit spend to complete. Because we gained funding through the liquid fuels, we are now able to move the project over and completely pay for it out of state highway liquid fuels at a new cost of $179,850. That is with $30,000 of the $60,000 accounted for. So that's actually $30,000 less than the project is expected to be bid. The other $30,000 goes to Lutz Lane, which almost eliminates that project and makes the out-of-pocket cost for the board about $1,890. That's where those two projects set now. With that being said, the third project coming out of state highway liquid fuels was Sawmill Road, which you would still intend to pay the full amount of $69,550. If projections come in the way they are, that's both income, which we have received letters confirming those amounts, and again, giving Dawn's best guesstimates at the time, which material is a volatile world right now. We would be looking at a remaining fund balance going into 2024 of $94,325.19, and that's state highway liquid fuels. With that being said, that frees up two more roads that again were discussed at the budget time, Buckhorn Road and Toe Hill, where they could be completely funded, and I will allow Chuck to explain what those projects entail.
Okay. So we'll start with Buckhorn. There are portions of Buckhorn. We talked about originally about 800 feet of it, which is from approximately 211 up to the stone cul-de-sac up toward the game lands. So in this portion, we have a lot of cracking, and there again, it's a damp shaded area, so we're having issues with this road. If we don't do anything with it soon, there again, it's going to cost us more in the future.
Chuck, which portion's that again on Buckhorn?
So it would be the upper, kind of the upper portion where it would intersect back again with Doe Drive.
Okay, just
there's a stone cul-de-sac at the top.
Right.
The cul-de-sac itself, Chuck, that's not township road, right?
From what we have found so far, yes, that's private. So it would actually just go up and just dead end right there. What I'm proposing with that section is we not only repair what we're having major issues with right now, but we continue that on where it intersects with Smith Road. There are some issues with that. There's a pipe that needs replaced, and some different cracking and things like that. It's not super severe, but there again, if it's something that we can take care of now and use our money wisely, we'll save it in the future.
You're talking about the pipe, when you first come off of Smith Road, get down to the dip there, there's like a 12-inch or 15-inch pipe underneath that road, not very big.
That
Buckhorn.
one, so that one's okay. The first ones you would get to are okay. It is more as you enter kind of the bottom section where
you swing around to the left.
Turn, yes. That pipe is what I can only assume is collapsing because we have a low spot in the road. So that is something that needs addressed. Now, there's obviously multiple different ways to address that. But part of my proposal with that is that when we go in there, because Doe Drive was just done, we are going in to one location and those roads are complete because we already have, like I said, large issues at the top of it. We would complete the entire thing, which hopefully would mean that we don't have to revisit that set of roads, that neighborhood, for quite some time.
Probably about 14 years.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope. So that should take care of Buckhorn unless there's any questions there. And then the other one we had discussed was Toe Hill Road. That one is, well, we had a tree down out there today. We're seeing, especially with the wet weather, more potholes opening up back there. There's some seams coming apart in the center of the road. So that one is definitely unraveling on us that we need to address soon.
Which portion on Toe Hill?
Quite honestly, all of it is, but there's sections of it as you go back through. I can't pinpoint it to one kind of. I can't say the beginning of it or
I didn't
the
know if it was
end.
particularly bad where before you get to Uni Road or not.
There is a particularly bad portion of it, yes, but as you continue to travel back through it, you can look at the center joint in the road, and it's actually unraveling there. So there again, that's another one that our base is really good on it. There's a couple spots here and there that we should go base repair, but it's very minimal right now. If we don't address it soon, it's going to turn into a larger problem. So there again, what we're trying to do is address the roads that if we can get in there now and save them, then we can push these out and get a lot more bang for our buck now, versus trying to look at things that are just already completely gone, which we will be discussing very soon if we don't address these things.
You're looking to put those projects out to bid as you've discussed.
Yes. And as soon as possible to try to get some feedback. And, we may get numbers back that we just can't do. But we're hoping that the numbers we have here in front of us, I'm hoping are inflated enough to cover, our normal inflation or abnormal inflation right now. And then I'm hoping they're high. I'm hoping the numbers that come back, I can present back to the board, and we're going to look at some good numbers, and we can get out there and get some roads fixed up for residents.
You want to make a motion to put those projects out for bid with the right to accept or reject any and all bids?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Brett, you got any other gems for us?
I just want to let you know that if perchance they all get approved and magically at Dawn's estimates, which we know, rub a lamp there, the balance would be $103,211.83. So there is some additional money we can play with as the year goes on. I also want to stress this has nothing to do with the ARPA funds that are currently sitting at $299,918. The only other thing, there were two questions I've kind of received on and off I want to stress. The park loan payoff, I know I've received some questions on how it benefits or if it even benefits. I spoke with our bank representative today, and he ran the figures in the loan calculator. We will save $24,789 in interest by paying the loan off early, which it was indeed improved in your bills list earlier tonight. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record. Other than that, I just wanted to commend everyone on the staff for the obtaining the local fees. I'm getting there.
You were just it looked like you're wrapping it up, Brett. We don't need to miss that.
I just wanted to say it was a total staff effort on obtaining the money. The only thing we need from you tonight regarding that is approval for staff to begin to fill out the MS 339 form, and you'll be seeing a resolution regarding that at your next meeting on the 26th.
I move to approve staff to fill out the MS 339.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
The last thing is not technically on the agenda because it was a last minute addition. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck. Based on the vandalism that the township suffered, we got a quote for a surveillance camera system. Chuck met with the gentleman late last week, and he can go over the specifics that was discussed. But I want to add that on under discussion items for the night.
Okay, so kind of start this by saying I will attempt to answer any questions that you may have, but I can definitely forward them because this is not my expertise. So I spoke to Mr. Woodring through Woodring's audio video that I have had the chance to work with in the past. So I had him come out, take a look at the building. We discussed some issue spots that we feel should be covered by video cameras. So he recommended a system based on our needs, I'll say, our coverage needs. So what he recommended is an 8-channel recorder, because we're looking at 4 camera locations right now, which gives us room to expand this system. The cameras that he did suggest are a 4K ultra high def. These can be turned. They have night vision in them, and then of course all the necessary wiring and things like that that goes along with the installation, as well as it would be in a lockbox, locked up in the office. That way, that system would be secure with a battery backup. I've seen his systems; they're very nicely installed, and it's great technology. That would come to a total of $3,319. Looks like this quote is good till the end of January 27th.
I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
For them,
Mhm.
for the provider.
Yeah.
One would be, I see the warranty for the cameras. I didn't see a warranty for the DVR, which is mainly the main storage unit for the. That's one thing I'd like to know if there is one. And then the other thing is does this system have the potential to be compatible with a wireless system? For example, through cellular connectivity or whatever, if we wanted to place cameras, because this is a hardware system as it stands, could we place cameras like at pavilions, or could we place cameras at Autumn Meadow Park or the maintenance building if we wanted to? I'm just saying, is there compatibility potentially with
so
a
I'll
wireless?
ask that question as well. What I'm going to assume is no, as far as the wireless capabilities of it, because when you're dealing with such a high definition camera, it needs to travel
Hardwire.
via wire. There are some different capabilities as far as wireless kind of remote access into this, but as far as cameras coming back and recording into the system, I'm going to suspect not, but I'll ask. Just to
It
make
seems
sure.
like a pretty robust system.
Yeah. I mean, I stress that I want to do this correctly. I want to do this one time and not have a system that is maybe on the verge of being outdated, and then we end up with something that we're kind of stuck with and can't change.
It records internally, like it's
It
not onto a
does.
service. It's here, and we'll have a monitor here. And,
Yes.
and record
This may
capability.
mean more to you than it does to me. I know it's a large number. It's an 8 terabyte hard drive.
That's pretty
It should be, even with the ultra high def
Video
cameras,
uses
should
a lot of
record.
space.
Yeah.
But then you can free it up then. But it's
Yeah,
all,
so
it's
how
all under our
these-
control.
How these systems typically work is they'll just rewrite.
Yep.
As it gets full.
And these cameras are just for this area, the
That's
4. or
just yes, and they would so the wires would run in this building,
Okay.
and it would only cover just the vicinity of this
so we could
building.
potentially put another system over
Absolutely.
at that, in
Yeah,
the,
so
in the maintenance area.
It's been a discussion.
Okay, but we're going here first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and obviously we can kind of see how this system may work for us, and we could tailor other systems other places. Because that was a discussion over at the maintenance building, just to cover, I mean, hopefully there's no theft involved over there, but it also covers any questions on, if an accident would happen with an employee,
Are
we
the
can cover
cameras
things.
secured in any way with anything around them?
There is a dome around them. As far as how secure they are, I can't answer that.
Yeah.
I know when Mr. Woodring was here, we had talked about trying to make them high enough, kind of make sure that.
Right, because I know we've had issues in the past, but we've also, I think our biggest issue is the cameras haven't been good quality, and we can't really see much on them either, so if we're gonna do it.
Right.
we're gonna-
Yeah, so we're trying to avoid that, and then
Yeah.
obviously anything could happen as far as vandalism
Right.
with a specific camera, but
I guess
But hopefully we'll get enough and it's already recorded.
right, that's the hopes of it.
Yeah.
Just my only other question for them would be what distance. Now there's enough ports for 8 cameras, right? It's an
Yes.
8-camera DVR. Is there any distance limitation on the Cat 6 that how far you can run it to put, let's say, to put another camera in?
Right. I'm sure there is definitely a limitation as far as quality getting back to the receiver.
Right. Okay. Well, is this something we're voting on tonight, or?
Ken?
I don't.
Well, the theory would be we can get you your answers, and because it's close to the day after your 26th meeting, hopefully we have the answers and we can still, if you guys are appeased by everything, sneak in before the expiration.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Chuck.
Put it on the agenda for the 26th. Anything else, Brett?
Nope.
Supervisor reports. What do you have in your reports? Good and welfare.
I want to just say that I encourage everybody to contact or send an email, contact the office to update your email information for our listserv. There's been problems in the past with listservs being transferred from one system to another, and I want to make sure, I think we need to make sure that the listserv is up to date, that all the emails for the citizens are up to date, so that when something's sent out by email, that as many people as possible get it. And that some people have not dropped out because of a change in the type of email listserv we have.
We did change our email setup, what was that, about 8 months ago? And we lost a lot of people. So.
There were some IT issues. State College Borough IT handles our IT right now, and we did have some problems.
Yeah, they weren't able to pull the listserv.
So I
from one
encourage
server
the
to
public
another.
to send the office your email information, contact information. We can update that. Is there something else?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. The reason why we have to get security cameras is because at the meeting on the 26th, somebody smashed the bulletin board cabinet out here. And I'm sure somebody saw that. We did file a state police report, I think, and notified the insurance company. So if you did it, fess up, be a man, come in here and pay for the damn thing. Because somebody's going to turn you in sooner or later, and it's going to suck to be you. So that's all I got.
Next.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Hi, I am here. Sorry about this. So I would like to congratulate this board on increasing the inclusion or involvement of citizens with their local government. I know that that's been an issue with local government for a long, long time, is having citizens involved. And this board has really managed to increase the involvement of citizens in our community. I would like to take this moment to encourage the board to address the equity issue around involvement or inclusion by allowing residents to see and be aware of what other members of your community think. The best way you could do that for your citizens is by posting letters that you get online so that I could read. Roseanne said last week or at the last meeting that she thought there were many people who had written in to express their non-support of the library. I would love to be able to see those letters so that I knew maybe they've addressed an issue that I hadn't thought of. So for diversity, equity, and inclusion, I would like to, one, congratulate the board on increasing citizen involvement, and two, encourage you to continue to increase the conversation in our community by posting the letters that you receive online so that everything is transparent. So that is my little shtick for tonight, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Well, here's a second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.